Well, it's time for America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, to grade their picks. So let's start it off with their first round, 17th overall pick, which they drafted CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Now, most people had high praise for this pick. Over the top, great pick for Dallas. I wasn't too optimistic. I kind of wanted to look at it a little bit more conservatively. I gave it a B plus. But let me explain. But first, with the absence of Randall Cobb, he's out. I think Dallas did a good job adding another reliable playmaker to their offense. I think Dallas's biggest need was not at wide receiver. It's one problem. But I think Lamb does have star potential and big play capability. He can play wide receiver from any position, and really he could really be dangerous with the ball in his hands. I think there's no doubt about that. I think the biggest concern for Lamb, which is why I couldn't give the pick an A, is the fact that he played in the Big 12, which in that conference, good defense, it's just most games it's non-existent, and sometimes you could find it, but it's very hard to come by. It just 10 yards a play on average, like first down. Final scores are 52-46 in that conference. No matter who's playing, it's just not good defense. From any team, Oklahoma to Texas to TCU, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, none of them play good defense. Kansas State, it's not good. So, with that being said, I think Lamb's performance is questionable. His yards after catch, would they have been that great? Even some of his catches in general. I think his route running needs work, and I think he was able to probably get away with that. I think his slender frame is, it's not the most ideal thing. And I think it'll limit his potential as more of a consistent, dominant threat, potentially. And so, I don't think there's, I don't think that slender frame also hides the fact that he does need a little bit of work in the run blocking area. So, overall, you like the pick, but I am hesitant to say he's going to be a legend in this league or he's going to be a star Pro Bowler in this league. I need to see it first in the NFL. And I do still think that there are a few things that he needs to work on. But overall, not a bad pick. It gives Dallas another weapon. And that should help Dak Prescott or Andy Dalton, whoever they end up deciding to play at quarterback. So, not a terrible pick. But I think the fact that there are some questions and the fact that I do think they had bigger needs, that's why I couldn't give it an A. So, with their second round 51st overall pick, they selected Trevon Diggs, defensive back out of Alabama. Now, this pick I gave an A. He's a former wide receiver, which I think has helped him a lot. He's still getting used to the position in the secondary. And I think as he grows, being a former wide receiver will only help him instinctively. And it should enable him to read some of the routes or maybe recognize some of the moves or things his opponent's trying to do, and he can get a break and explode on the ball. So I think that is a good feature. Sherman, he was a former wide receiver, and he made a lot of big plays in his prime. So I think Diggs, he does have good size, and his ball hawking ability is great. And I think his lack of discipline is what was hurting him, especially at corner. And I do believe that could be fixed. Again, it's just one of those things where I think with experience and over time, he'll get more discipline. He's got a veteran head coach up there now. And I think this guy has a lot of potential to really be somebody the Dallas defense has been looking for a while. So I think there's a lot to like with that pick. That's why I gave it an A. With their third round, 82nd overall pick, they picked Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. I gave this pick a B because I think he's definitely underdeveloped. And although he could potentially be good, I do think that, the NFL, it doesn't really have like a minor league system. And especially, like I've been saying, this year, without the preseason, without kind of all the training camps, it's going to be, he's definitely going to be a non-factor in this 2020 regular season. But you wonder how long it could take to develop him. You wonder if he's going to get the reps and the playing time he needs to develop. So a lot of questions in the air with this guy. Because sometimes in the NFL, you miss some of those guys that, okay, they're pretty sound football players, good athletic traits, not quite there. Sometimes they don't get the roster spot. They just don't develop. They never make it. So you wonder what will happen. And you think maybe it'll be too long of a ride. However, in the long run, don't be surprised if you see him have some flashes. But I will say, it could be for a different team by then. So, overall, not a terrible pick, but we'll see if Dallas rides the roller coaster with him. Round 4, 123rd overall pick. They pick Reggie Robinson, the second cornerback out of Tulsa. I gave this pick a B. I think Robinson's size and strength are very likable for a corner. You have to... Oh, yeah. Well, you do wish he played a better brand of all-around football. However, his run support is a little bit weaker, as is his man-to-man coverage, which has been very shaky at times. So, however, there's 4 block kicks, a lot of pass deflections, interceptions, and I think he has that big play capability that Dallas might be looking for, as they might have been one of the lower teams in turnovers last year, especially interceptions. So I think he has, while he does have some work to do, I think potentially he could be a very sound player for Dallas, which you gotta like when it's a 4th round pick. So Dallas had 2 more picks. Or three more picks. Yeah, 3 more picks. 4th round, 146th overall, Tyler Bayadish, center, Wisconsin. I gave this pick an A-, because Bayadish, he was one of the better centers in NCAA football, so that's good. And now he's going to a team that has one of the better offensive line talents overall. And I think, I think he'll easily fix his technique and strength issues, which will help him, which will prevent him from being held back and kind of let him, get that consistent playing time and kind of become more consistent at center. So he plays smart, he plays hard, he plays a disciplined brand of football. And I think for a team that just lost its All-Pro Bowl center and Frederick, I think there's a lot to like for this pick. Good, gritty, tough player. And I think he does have a little bit of work to do, but I mean, oh my God, they got so many pieces there. I'd be surprised if they don't show him the ropes and take his game to the next level. So good pick in the 4th round again. A- for me with Tyler Bayadish. So not bad. Round 5, 179th overall, they pick Bradley Anae. I think that's what it is. Defensive end at a Utah. I gave this pick an A- because this, to me, was a real steal in the 5th round for Dallas. He was a huge part of Utah's recent success, and I think he's just a menace in the backfield. While he was at Utah, 40 tackles for loss, 29.5 sacks. You like the size, and I think he'd definitely develop into a nice outside edge rusher and really help Dallas really pressure the quarterback, especially with DeMarcus Lawrence, who really dropped off the cliff after he got paid. So he has great skills at his position, and I was shocked that he was still available in the 5th round. So good find, good steal for Dallas, which takes us to their last pick, which they drafted Ben DiNucci, quarterback out of Pitt, who also played a little bit of football at James Madison. I gave this pick a D- because DiNucci, although he can run, he just can't throw. 60% of his passes at James Madison were less than 10 yards. His arm strength, as you could tell by that stat, is poor. He makes bad decisions, and I think, it's partly because of that lack of arm strength. If you're trying to get it to somebody and then you just don't have enough on it, it's going the other way. And I think at Pitt, he was just horrendous. So he really was nothing spectacular at James Madison either, which is not good because that's not a Division I program. So I think he's definitely limited by his weak arm, and to me, I think it significantly decreases any chance of him being any good in this league. So overall, for me, Dallas got an A-. You gotta like Dallas's picks. There are some serious talented players on their draft board. And some of their other guys have some serious potential. So I think a few of their draftees do need to spend a little bit of time developing. But overall, good drafting. They got some guys that are definitely going to help in year one, and then down the road especially. They wasted very few of their picks, and I like how Dallas drafted in this year's draft, especially for the lack of picks that they had. So well done for Dallas. So coming up next, the reigning NFC East champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. Their draft analysis coming up next. Thank you.